Hello everybody, how are you doing? The very warmest of welcomes to my channel and welcome back if you're a returning viewer. It's so great to see you here again. If we've never met before, hello, my name's Alison and I'm a 50-something witch living here in Derbyshire in the United Kingdom, and I'm here to talk to you about all aspects of being a modern witch in the 21st century and everything that that brings with it, especially if you're a witch of a certain age like I am. And I want to talk to you about all the things that bring us joy and all the difficult things that we have to deal with as well in our mundane lives and in our lives as witches. If you were celebrating Samhain recently, I hope that you had a wonderful time. I certainly did. I got up to some absolutely fantastic witchy shenanigans, and I also went on holiday for a couple of days with my husband. That was fantastic. I had a really great time. But the thing is that after all these lovely things, I am finding myself not in a great place, and that's what I really want to talk to you about today. This will be a kind of cozy sit and chat video. I know how much you enjoy this kind of video and I enjoy making them as well. It's a really dark, grey, damp, drizzly day here in Derbyshire, and so all the lights are on, the candles are lit, and I suggest that you go and get yourself a cup of something nice and hot, grab yourself a blanket, I've got one, and let's sit down and have a chat together. One of the most common misconceptions about witches, in my experience at least, is the notion that everybody seems to have, that they think that we have everything together all the time, that we're always in control, that we have an answer and a solution for every problem, and that basically we live this kind of charmed life. And in reality, in my experience at least, nothing is further from the truth. People seem to think that we are very level-headed, very rational and very calculating. And again, in my case, this is absolutely untrue, because what I find as a witch is that I feel everything so deeply, so hard, and tend to overthink and overanalyze absolutely everything. Every interaction that I have with somebody, every, whether it's face to face, whether it's via email or any of the other modern media that we use in our day-to-day lives. And this can be anywhere. It can be at work, it can be, with friends, with absolutely anybody. But I find as a witch that this can be a real issue, and a lot of the time it can leave me feeling very exposed, very vulnerable, and very questioning of my very beliefs and my very, how can I put it, how I come across to other people. And I can end up feeling really tender. And an example of this is that I am influenced by other people's moods significantly. And an example of this that I can give is that I feel other people's moods as if they were my own. And this has always been the case ever since I was very little. I can find my whole day being influenced by someone else's mood. And I can walk into a room, or I can be in a situation, and I can tell you how that person's feeling. I can tell you how that person's had a terrible day. And I feel it really strongly. Now, commonly this is known as being an empath, and I know that a lot of us feel this way, but I find it very difficult to shut off from other people's feelings and their energy, and I find myself having to withdraw from people quite a lot, because I find them overwhelming. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy being with my friends and my loved ones. Of course I do. I absolutely adore them. I love them to bits, and they know I do. But sometimes I have to pull out of situations where I feel that I'm going to be overwhelmed. And I understand that some people might not get this. They just might not understand what this feels like. But this is my reality, and this is where I find myself at the moment. The main reason I wanted to talk to you today is because I think that as witches, we should really be prioritising how we look after ourselves and taking better care of ourselves. And the main focus of this video is how we can do that. And I want to talk to you about what we call self-love and self-care. Now, those terms are they're bandied about quite a bit, and not only in witchy life but in mundane life as well. And they cover a whole raft of activities. But I specifically want to talk to you about what I do when I'm feeling very vulnerable, very fragile, very kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's just the weirdest feeling. Currently, I feel like my whole body is on alert for something, and my heart is absolutely flying, and I'm not sure what's doing this. That's something for me to deal with, but I'm also in a lot of pain. I hurt my ribs on this side fairly recently while I was swimming, and I thought they were getting better. But at the moment I'm in a whole world of pain. I'm on lots of different painkillers, and I'm really, really struggling. So that again is making me feel really tense, and everything hurts. The slightest touch is really, really painful. And to me, this is all a manifestation of what's going on, is, you know, my kind of state of anxiety and what that's bringing with it. I also wanted to mention something else that might be becoming increasingly apparent. If you know me quite well and, you know, are in my life on a daily basis, you'll know that recently I've lost quite a lot of weight. I've lost just over 3 stone in weight since July. It isn't something that I've really spoken about, A, because it's deadly boring, B, because for a lot of people any mention of weight loss and disordered eating and etc. can be very triggering. But it is something that I wanted to raise because some people have mentioned it. I'm not going to talk to you in great detail about the hows and whys, but what I will say is that it's really, really nice, but it's brought its own issues. And the main issue is that I don't really know my own body anymore. It feels very, very strange. There's a long way to go yet. I'm nowhere near finished, but I'm acknowledging that this time of transition is a very strange one. I don't know my body. I feel very strange. One of the nice things that has happened, obviously, is that I'm having to buy lots and lots of new clothes and underwear and stuff because nothing really fits me anymore. It's very disconcerting to go to the wardrobe and pull out something that I put on last winter, and it fitted me fine, and now it's just falling off. And that is kind of a graphic representation of how far I've come. I am very proud of my progress so far, but as I say, it feels very strange. I feel like a stranger in my own body. I am covered in bruises everywhere, because I have significantly less padding than I had previously, and I am feeling every bump, and that's very strange. But all this is adding to the weirdness of the physical sensations that I'm experiencing, as well as the emotional ones. And if you also factor menopause into this mix, what you've got is an absolute perfect storm of stuff going down, and it's just very, very strange. I think it's the time of year, and I know from the exchanges that we've had in my community posts and comments on my videos that this is something that a lot of us are feeling, and I think it's really, really important to address. So today I'm going to talk about what I do to try and overcome these things, and at the end of the video I'm going to show you a really simple spell. And spell casting is not something that we do a lot of on my channel, and that's because spell casting is not a massive part of my practice, believe it or not. I only pull out the big guns, as I call them, when I have exhausted every other method of trying to solve a problem or to try to bring about something. It isn't something that I do on the daily. And if you do that, if that's part of your practice, absolutely brilliant. You do you, you know, you do whatever works for you. What we've said 1,000 times on this channel is that your craft is your own. It can look however you want it to. What works for you is right for you. What works for me is right for me. But on this occasion, I feel that this is warranted, and I feel that I need to focus on myself and what is good about myself. If you saw my video, my most recent video about celebrating Samhain, you will know that I mentioned a quote that I saw fairly recently that really, really struck a chord with me. And somebody said, if I asked you to write down all the things you love, how long would it take you to name yourself? And that really struck a chord with me, and I've carried that with me, because I think you can take that in several ways. Some people might name themselves right off the bat, and that's brilliant, but some people might consider that to be fairly egotistical, and that's something that I think is really important, because we're conditioned to not think of ourselves, to not love ourselves, and it's difficult because we're striving to accept ourselves for who and what we are, especially as witches. But by the same token, society tells us that we shouldn't be doing that, and we should always be putting other people first, and we should always be considering the ripple effect of what we do. And while I appreciate that, and I, to a certain extent, can get on board with that, I am increasingly starting to think of myself, and put myself first, and without wanting to sound arrogant in any way, or to have ego at the front of everything that I do, because I never think that's a good idea. I want my soul at the front of everything that I do. I think this is very, very important. So that's why I'm going to be looking at a spell to bring about how I really want to feel. When we're at work, we are bound by the terms of our contracts to get along with the people that we work with. Now, I am very, very lucky in that the people that I work with are the most amazing people. Even the thought of them is is making me light up, because they are such amazing people, and I am so lucky to have them, not only in my immediate small team, but also in our organisation as a whole. I mean, my best friend works under the same roof as me, so I get to see him every day, and it doesn't get any better than that. But in our everyday lives, our friendships and relationships are, they're never constant. They're always evolving and changing. And sometimes we can be in friendships and relationships that we've gained something from, that we've enjoyed, that we've benefited from, but by the same token, then they're not constant, and they do change, and sometimes we can outgrow these friendships and relationships, and they start to become more of a hindrance than a help. And I think one of the most loving things that you can do, although it's very difficult, is to acknowledge the fact that a particular friendship or relationship is not giving you what you need anymore. It may be that your feelings and your thoughts are about particular subjects are very different to this particular person. Maybe you had some common ground, but you don't seem to have it anymore, and you find yourself slowly resenting having to spend time with them. And I think that removing these people from your lives gently and kindly is a really loving thing to do for yourself, because if spending time with these people is bringing you down, hurting you, making you feel resentful, angry and defensive, it isn't a good thing. And I think that doing this in a mature way, not ghosting somebody, it's just not what grown-ups do. You know, I've known this happen. It's happened to me. You know, when I first headed off down the witchcraft path, I had a friend who I thought was absolutely wonderful, who I loved dearly, and thought that they were very accepting of who and what I was, but then they weren't, and they completely cut me off, and I was devastated. And I did ask, you know, what the problem was, if it was something I'd done, if it was something I'd said, if it was something that I could put right. But this person didn't want to know, and it was devastating. You know, I was really, really upset. So I'd never do that to somebody. I would explain why I felt that I couldn't carry on with the friendship, that I would always value what we'd had, what we'd shared, but that I feel that it's time for us to go our separate ways, you know, with love and thanks for everything that we'd shared. And I don't just mean your immediate circle of friends when I'm talking about this. I'm also talking about your own family, because I know from my own experience how toxic a family dynamic can be. I'm the youngest of 5 children, and I am lucky enough to have an amazing relationship with 2 of my siblings. The other 2 I have no desire to be in touch with. I will always love them, but I don't share any aspects of my life with them, and I'm fine with that. And making that decision was one of the most loving acts that I have ever carried out on myself, if that makes sense. I just want to make it clear that I understand if you're in this situation how hard it is, but I also think that it's an act of love to remove these people from your life and to head off down a different path. We are not constant. We are growing and changing all the time, and every day we learn something new about ourselves, especially as witches. I think that every day we're presented with new challenges, and we tend to see them more than non-witches. We tend to see signs, we see patterns in things, and I genuinely believe that people come into your life for one of two reasons, either for fun or to teach you something. And I know that that's probably quite a simplistic view, but I think that is why people come and join us. And the ones that come for fun are absolutely great, but the ones that come to teach us something are the ones that I think are particularly the ones that we need to look out for, because what they have to teach us is not necessarily an easy lesson. So I think that whenever anybody comes into my life, I'm immediately slightly on guard, wondering what their motives are. But I do hope that they will teach me something. And if they're also there for fun, well, that's great as well. But I do believe that when those lessons are learnt, then it's absolutely fine if you feel that you need to no longer associate with that person for your own good, and that it's absolutely fine to remove them from your life. And it's one of the most loving and kind things that you can do for yourself. I mentioned earlier in the video about the fact that I struggle with people's emotions and how they're feeling and how they can affect my whole day. It's not their fault. It's, they're just living their lives, but this is me, and this is how their energy affects me. And it can be very difficult to block out other people's energy, but there are things you can do. And one of the things that I tend to do is, if I'm in a room or a situation where there's lots and lots and lots of people's energy flying around, I can almost see it. It's kind of like dull sparks is the only way I can explain how it looks to me, and how it feels is like being constantly hit with, like rolled up paper that somebody throws at you. It almost feels like that. Does this happen to anybody else? How does it feel to you? I'm really, really keen to know what this feels like for you, if this is something you experience. But that's how it is for me. So because the sensation is almost physical, I need to put something around me to deflect these sparks and these bits of rolled up paper. So when I go into work in the morning, I'm always the first in, and that's deliberate. I like to get to work early so that I can A, get a parking space, and B, set myself up spiritually for the day, because the environment that I work in is very deadline driven. I work in finance, which is not a spiritual job at all, but I enjoy it. I enjoy numbers. I think numbers are magical, and I enjoy working with them, but it can be very challenging. So I like to get myself set up. I like to give my desk a cleanse. I like to cleanse myself, prepare myself. And one of the things that I do is sit for a while and just imagine a huge shimmering circle of white light all around me and my immediate work area. This isn't because I want to block out my colleagues, far from it, but I just want to have this shimmering white light around me all day, and I want to carry it with me, so that if I'm out of our office, if I'm in another part of the building, there are thousands of people in my building. You need to understand this. This is a university building, and at any one point there can be a couple of thousand people in the building, and there is a whole plethora of people's emotions flying around, and I want to carry this with me. So I will envisage this huge shining bubble of white light. It's absolutely dazzling, and I will take that with me. I will take that with me all day, and I will carry it home with me. And then as soon as I walk through my door, when I come home, where my lovely husband and my little cat are waiting for me, I don't need that light anymore. So I will just mentally take a pin and I will just burst it, and I will thank it for looking after me during the day, and I will let it go, and I can breathe, I can let everything out, and I can be safe at home where I don't need that kind of protection anymore. When I'm actually getting ready for the day, before I even set off for work, I make a point of deciding the night before what I'm going to wear for work. Not only because I don't have much time in the morning, but because everything that I wear is an intentional thing. Even if I'm just wearing jeans and a sweater at home, it's because I want to be comfortable. There's intent behind it. And that's true of everything that we wear. But as witches and as people who try to be intentional about everything we do, I think it's very important. So I will choose what I'm going to wear, and it will depend on what I am wanting to achieve on that particular day. So if I know that I'm going to be called upon to present facts or information that needs to be correct, I will usually dress in something blue. And the reason for that is that I find blue is the colour that gives me most confidence. I find that it makes me more able to speak clearly. I find that it gives me clarity of thought, and I just feel really good in it. When I wear something blue, I feel great. Blue is my favourite colour. Absolutely love it. And so yeah, that's one of the first things that I do. But I also have another couple of things that I tend to do as well. I'm very intentional with the jewellery that I put on, and I consider it very carefully when I am getting ready for work. So today, for example, I'm wearing my beautiful smoky quartz that I've been wearing quite a lot lately, because I feel like I am going through a process of grief at the moment. And we've spoken about this. We spoke about it in my last video, where we are grieving the person that we were a year ago. The wheel's just completed a full turn and has started a new one, and we're leaving behind the person that we were. And I've changed so much in the last year. I know this, you know, physically and mentally, and in how I feel about a lot of things. And I find that when I'm going through a process of grieving, smoky quartz really helps to ground me and to comfort me. And I will sometimes take the ring off and just hold it and just enjoy its gentleness and its calming ability. So yeah, I tend to think very carefully about the jewellery that I put on. I also tend to have somewhere on my person something that has stars on it, and today I've got some star earrings in, and this is because to me the symbol of the star or the pentagram is very protective, and I enjoy wearing it. I've said before that I'm not Wiccan, and I'm not, and I know that the pentagram and the pentacle are closely associated with Wicca, but and that's fine, you know, but they don't own it, and it's something for us all to use. But I absolutely love to have anything star shaped about my person. I consider it very protective, and it also serves to me as a reminder that my very body is made of the moon and the stars, and I'm made of the very substance that makes up the universe. And this is something that I think you should keep right at the front of your mind when you're not feeling particularly loving towards yourself, when you are not feeling great. You are made of the very fabric of the universe. How can you not be made of pure magic and beauty? Please keep that. If you take nothing else from this video, please just take that away with you, because it is so important. It's making me quite emotional. I also have a pentacle tattooed on me, and it's for the same reason. It's because I consider this to be protective. I consider it to be a thing of beauty, and even if I'm not wearing something star-shaped, I have this with me always, and I will take this to my grave with me. And it's so important to me to have these little things with me. And if you have something that you do like this, like if you choose a particular colour of clothing, you choose a particular crystal or stone or object to have with you during your day to give you some comfort and to make you feel loved and protected, I'd love to know, please, and I know that our community would, so please do tell us what you have that makes you feel better about yourself. And other little things, like when I put makeup on, I will choose that intentionally as well. You know that I absolutely love red lipstick. I'm not wearing it today. I'm not feeling in a red lipstick mood today. I've just got a lip gloss on. But I feel empowered by red lipstick. I feel more confident. It's my thing. And I wear it most days. In the autumn, I tend to wear the Charlotte Tilbury one that I mentioned, the Glastonbury, which is a really deep burgundy, and I love that one as well. But red is my thing. I love it. I feel so much better in it. And you'll notice as well that I nearly always wear dark red nail varnish. I don't do pastel colours because I don't find that they give me the energy that the dark reds, the burgundies, the plums, the dark blues, the blacks, they're the colours that do it for me. And I find that a really loving act is to, you know, spend time on myself, you know, having my nails done once every few weeks, or treating myself to some makeup that I know is going to make me feel better. And if that's not your thing, that's absolutely fine, but it does it for me. I really enjoy it. I enjoy looking after my hair and skin. I enjoy nice body products, and actually spending time really enjoying using those is another thing that I do on a daily basis. You know, when I've had my bath and come out, I mean, Mark always jokes that it takes me ages, you know, to get to get ready after I've been in the bath, because I'm going to spend time with my products. I'm really going to enjoy them, and especially because, as I said, I've recently lost weight. I'm trying to get used to my new body, and spending time with it is very important. Spending time with how it feels, and you know what's changed about it, and acknowledging those changes is very important. So yeah, I know we've gone from clothes to body care, but I'm getting all these different things that I want to tell you about, and they're the things that really help me on a daily basis. And I'd love to know what kind of things you enjoy as part of your self-love routine as well. Okay, I think we've done enough talking, so let's get down to doing. Now, I have a little self-love spell for you that I originally featured on my blog on my website, which you can find at www.50somethingwitch.com. And this was a self-love spell that I wrote round about Beltane earlier this year, so around about the beginning of May. The focus of Beltane, as you probably know, is all to do with love, with fertility, with sex, with all the good stuff. And I wanted to acknowledge the fact that it also encompassed love for the self as well. So this spell is very gentle, but it does require you to actually think about what you love about yourself and to say it out loud and to acknowledge it. And I know that not everyone is going to find this easy. It's a challenge. And one of the things that I love about witchcraft is that it does challenge us and puts us in situations where we have to confront things. Now, some people are very, very good at acknowledging what they love about themselves, but we need to get down to the nitty-gritty, and not everybody is comfortable with that. So let's keep that in mind as we get this little spell together, and let's talk about what we really love about ourselves. Now, I've said before that you don't necessarily need any tools whatsoever to cast spells or carry out any act of witchcraft. But because this spell is particularly focused on identifying what you love about yourself, I'm going to suggest a few little bits and pieces that will make that job a little bit easier. You also don't necessarily need to cast this spell in sacred space. Now, I believe that wherever you practice magic the most inherently becomes sacred space, because it absorbs the energy of the work that you do. So because most of my spell work is done in our home, I consider the whole of our home to be sacred space. I wouldn't necessarily cast a spell on my altar unless I felt that I needed to do that specifically. So for this particular spell, I'm just going to work it in my bedroom. And yeah, the things that I've chosen to help with it will hopefully give you something to focus on as you're working the spell as well. To work this spell, you'll need some flowers that speak to you of love, and for me it is always going to be roses, so I've chosen some rosebuds. You will need a red spell candle. I've chosen red because it speaks of passion, it speaks of energy, it speaks of fiery love and desire, so I'm going to use a red one. You'll need some salt. I'm using pink salt because of its association with love, but any salt will do. I've chosen some crystals that I particularly love. Now, I've chosen my beautiful piece of smoky quartz. I've chosen a big piece of citrine. And I've also chosen 2 pieces of rose quartz because I absolutely love this particular stone. You'll need some essential oil of your choice. I've chosen lavender because I love it for its calming and gentle properties, but you can choose any that you particularly love. You're going to anoint the candle with this, and this needs to be a fragrance that you absolutely love and really, really enjoy. You will need a small mirror, and this one is just a little one that I got from a vintage store, but I absolutely love it. And yeah, this is perfect for what we're going to use it for. I've also got a rose. I want this to go in my little arrangement because roses to me speak of love and passion, and just beauty and absolute self-acceptance. So that's why I've chosen a rose. And the last thing that you need is a picture of yourself when you felt your absolute most beautiful. Now, I know that you might find this difficult to acknowledge and to find, but I've chosen one of us on our wedding day because I felt so special that day, and it was absolutely fantastic, and the warmth and the memories of that day are with me all the time. So that's why I've chosen this picture. But you can choose one that you felt the most beautiful. It doesn't matter what you were doing, where you were, who you were with, but choose it because you felt the most beautiful that you've ever felt. Start by using some incense just to clear the space that you're working in. Normally I would use my cleansing spray to clear the space, but because there's going to be a lot of dry ingredients around, like the salt and the rosebuds, I don't want them getting wet and mushy, so I'm just using some incense to clear the space. And this can be any fragrance that you like. I'm using the Sacha Sacred Ritual. I love this fragrance, it's beautiful, but you can choose any fragrance you like to clear your space. What I'd like you to do next is to form a circle of salt on your workspace. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as you're sprinkling this circle, think about what you're doing this for. Why are you here? What is it you're trying to achieve? For me, I want to remind myself of all the things that are beautiful about me. I want to bring them to the front and centre of this circle, and I want to acknowledge all the things that are special and beautiful about me. Not only the spiritual things, but the physical things as well. Place your photo right in the centre of your circle, because this is the focal point for the work that you're going to be doing. How you set up the rest of the arrangement is entirely up to you. It needs to please you and you alone. So you can place your other objects anywhere you like, but as you do so, do this with intent. So the rose quartz I'm placing in front of the picture of me and my husband, because that day was pure love, and that's what we're carrying forward as our marriage grows and develops. And the other crystals, I'm going to put my smoky quartz there, and I'm putting my citrine there. This only has to please you, it doesn't have to please anybody else. My rose buds, I'm just going to add them anywhere. It really doesn't matter. As long as you're happy with where you put them, this is absolutely fine. Roses represent pure love to me, and that's why I've chosen to add them to this spell. I'm also going to put the red rose there. I'm going to inscribe my candle with my intent for this particular spell. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I find that this gives my spells a little bit more energy, and whenever I use candles in magic, I always inscribe the intent that I'm wanting to bring to the spell into the candle. To do this, you can use a cocktail stick, you can use your athame if you have one, but I'm just going to use a needle to inscribe the candle. So I'll be back in a second when I've done that. Okay, so I've inscribed my candle. You might not be able to see it, but I have inscribed it with "I love myself." And also on the other side, I've inscribed "I am beauty and joy," because that is what I want to reaffirm in myself as I work this spell. And the next thing I'm going to do is to anoint the candle with essential oil. I'm using lavender oil, as I said, and I'm going to anoint the candle from the top to the bottom. Now, don't get any oil on the wick, because we are going to light this candle and the oils are quite volatile and we don't want any accidents. So just a few drops is all it needs. And then I'm going to hold it by the wick and I'm going to massage the oil in from the top to the bottom. I'm doing this because I want to bring these towards me. These intents, I want to bring them towards me. If I was wanting to banish something, I would do this from the base to the tip. But I'm bringing this in, so all the way around the candle. That's enough. And then I'm just going to pop it in its little holder and place it in the centre of my circle. If your tradition requires you to cast a circle, you can do that now, but mine doesn't. So I'm just going to light my candle. And let it start to burn. As the candle starts to burn, I want you to sit and focus on the flame for a few minutes. And while you do this, I want you to think about all the qualities that you bring to your life and the life of people around you. And this is where your beauty begins and what other people find beautiful about you as well. And this is not easy, but this is not a vanity project, and I want you to understand how important this is. This is about being honest and truthful with yourself. So the things that I wrote down here, for example, are the fact that I'm a good and loyal friend, and that I'm attentive and loving, that I'm nurturing and giving, and that I'm a loving wife and loyal friend. I'm kind and gentle. I respect and honour myself, and that I know my true worth. And if you feel able to say these things out loud, you should do that as well. It's very important that you acknowledge these truths before we move on to looking at what makes us beautiful physically. For the next part of the spell, I want you to take your mirror and focus really, really hard on your face. And I want you to think about everything that is beautiful about your reflection. I know how hard this is. This is not something that I find easy, but this is very important. And you're going to write down the things that are beautiful about your face, and you are going to be truthful and honest about yourself. When you are ready to finish the spell, there's one final bit that you need to do to finish off and to carry your intent forward and to affirm what you're trying to achieve by working this spell. And what would really help is if you could write this actual part of the spell yourself. The reason I say that is because I think that it's fine to actually watch somebody else work a spell, but if you can take the spell and make it your own, it makes it much more powerful. So I'm going to give you the words that I wrote to end this particular spell. But if you can take these and make them your own, I think that you will find the spell much more powerful and much more beneficial. So I'm just going to focus on my candle as it continues to burn down, and I'm going to say aloud these following words. The flame ignites the love within. A new love for myself begins. I see my worth and beauty bright, shining out with all its might. I embrace my flaws and celebrate grace. I love my spirit, my body and face. My heart is open, soft and true. I love the wonderful me in view. Complete the spell by letting the candle burn down. You can snuff it out if you need to, but don't blow it out. When you've finished, what I do is take out your rose or the other flower that you've decided to use and leave it outside on the ground as an offering to the land spirits that live around your home. It can be very difficult to acknowledge truths about yourself and to actually be kind to yourself and to say what you love about yourself. And I know that I always find this particular task quite challenging. If somebody tells me that they think I'm beautiful, I never believe them. My husband, he tells me every single day, and I believe him, of course, but I don't know. I just think it's how we are, and it would be really lovely to have somebody say that and to just be able to accept the compliment. I don't know if this is something that happens to you as well, but this is how I feel. And it can be very difficult to try and flip that around and to talk about what you actually love about yourself. But I think it's very, very important and something that we need to be doing more of. And I've really enjoyed working this little spell this afternoon. It was a perfect afternoon for it. It's a very cozy and wanting to be at home afternoon, where, you know, home where everything feels safer and softer and where you just sometimes need to be. And I really hope that if you decide to do any self-love work, that it really, really helps you and that you gain some benefit from it. Don't be surprised if it makes you feel very emotional. I feel really emotional at the moment, in a strange way. I feel better for doing this little bit of work, and also for talking to you about what's happening, what's going on. I think that as the darkness of winter starts to swallow us up, it's important to have literal light everywhere. So that's something that I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks, is trying to bring as much light as I possibly can into my life, both physically and metaphorically. I've got lots and lots of beautiful lights and candles to have at home, which, you know, I absolutely love, and I have them all year round anyway. But I've also got some little lights in the form of nice things that are going to be happening. I've got lots and lots of plans with friends over the next couple of months, places to visit and things to do, and I'm really looking forward to those. And I've also got a couple of tattoos planned, the first one of which is next week, which I'm really, really looking forward to, and the second one is the week before Christmas, which is a real bucket list stuff that I'm ticking off, and I'm so excited about it. I'll tell you more about that as it approaches, but I think that it's important to have these little things, these little glimmers of light to look forward to, and I really hope that you've got some little glimmers planned for the coming months. Please tell me about what you're up to and how you're getting through the darker months. I would absolutely love to know. And I always love to hear from you. As you know, you can contact me via my website, which I've already mentioned, but you can also email me at www.50somethingwitch.com, where you'll find my email address, which is hello@50somethingwitch.com. And you're always welcome to get in touch, and I will always try to reply and acknowledge the fact that you've actually been kind enough to get in touch, which I really, really appreciate. Thank you so much for being here today, for spending this time with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it massively. And if it's your first time here, I would absolutely love it if you would please consider subscribing to my channel for more of this kind of content, and to be part of our beautiful, shining community, which is absolutely wonderful, with so many lovely, lovely people part of it. I love that you're here. I love that you found my channel. I appreciate you so much, and I really hope to see you again very, very soon. And in the meantime, I hope that you will find a moment of joy in every single day, and I hope that you'll keep your beautiful light shining, and I really hope to see you again very soon. And until we meet again, blessed be.